Today, I'm going to show you how the Bricklink Designer Program actually works. I'm joined here with Alex Kaselik of the Bricklink Designer Program. He's the program manager, so he's the one behind the scenes making all the decisions. And earlier today at Brickworld Chicago, you had a presentation about all the ins and outs of the Bricklink Designer Program. What were some of the main topics from that discussion that you want to communicate to our viewers today?
Yeah, so the most important things that we wanted to communicate are just kind of the selection criteria, what we're trying to do with the program, what the purpose of the program is. You know, I think that's one thing where people don't really know where it slots in. Are these Lego sets? What are these? What is the Bricklink Designer Program? How is this different from Lego Ideas? So we're here doing that. We're here to recruit fan designers. The most important thing that we need for the success of our program is fan designers.
Absolutely.
So we need more and more of those, recruit fan voters, and then we're showing off the sets. So right now, obviously you see Series 2 sets in front of us. Those are the ones that are built right now.
Beautiful
Series
designs.
1s are the beautiful boxes here.
Yes.
We literally just got these in this week. They came to the office Tuesday, and we overnighted them here so we could have them for us. So yeah, these are coming soon. So yeah, we're just trying to show everything off.
Absolutely. And with the Bricklink Designer Program, one of the main things in the presentation that you brought up was the voting. And that was something that I've miscommunicated to many of my viewers in the fact that I initially thought the voting actually doesn't have that much weight. Maybe it cuts out the lower 50, the lower X however many you need. But in reality, it's very, very different. The voting, it's, as you said many times, it's a democratic process.
Absolutely.
The voting, I like this, neutral or not for me. And I don't think we talked about that too much, but the voting for something definitely does matter. So maybe you can go into that and then the ranking of the different three, how that affects it.
Yeah, we can do that. Voting is the most important thing. We go off of fan votes entirely. So yeah, we like to say it's a very democratic process because that is the most important factor. There are some things that we need to look at from a portfolio conflict standpoint. So that's the biggest disqualifier.
Yes.
First off, but then after that, it's what has the highest amount of votes. Once we get from the highest amount of votes, so we'll go through and we'll say so. For Series 1, that's probably the best example because it's a pretty cookie cutter series in the sense that we had almost every demographic covered from demographics probably not the right word for that, but a distribution standpoint.
Yeah. And kind of go into the main distribution or the types that you see in submissions. Yeah.
So obviously there's part size or part count. And then there's types of models that you see. So there's buildings, castles, castle/medieval, pirate. You see vehicles. We have vehicles, boats, airplanes, all kind of grouped together. But if there's a boat and a vehicle, that wouldn't be an issue.
Yes.
But we try to make it so that there's only one from each category represented across the entire theme. So those will just be whatever the top 5 categories from that theme are. Sometimes you have something like Snack Shack that is represented in a theme, and it doesn't really represent any specific theme. It's kind of floating in the middle of a bunch of different themes. So we wouldn't really count that against anything else. It would never block something else from being in there. So, but for example, the way we'll do it is Mountain Fortress would be Series 1. So Series 1, like I said, is pretty cookie cutter on what we're trying to accomplish.
Exactly.
So we have both part count and theme that make up the big difference, or make up kind of the qualifications to be selected.
The two main factors.
So let's say Mountain Fortress #1 vote set. Okay, so therefore you're blocking 4,000 part set, and you're blocking Castle for the remainder of the selections.
So it's almost like a workflow. You follow these steps. Step 1, part count.
Yep.
Step 2, category. Well, step 1, votes, of course.
Right. Yeah. Votes
top voted ones. Then the part count or the size of the set, and then working your way down into the category. Yep. So it is very procedural. It sounds not a lot of manipulating when it doesn't need it.
That's honestly sometimes we wish there were, and it sounds like sometimes the audience would wish there were because Castle kind of is always represented in every series, but that's just because that's the most popular theme right now.
Yes.
So.
And if you've seen my videos before, you know I'm not the biggest Castle fan, and I spoke disparagingly about Series 4, I believe. And we can get into that later with the different how you pick. But all that to say, the voting is so So very, important.
Very
So much more important than I ever thought, honestly. And honestly, it's a really how I would have thought it went, and it's how it goes, which is awesome.
And to touch on that too, so we try to get an average of 2,500 parts across the series. So what we're trying to do with that, so that gives us a variety of price points, because everyone will say, oh, these are really expensive sets, and yeah, a lot of fans and AFOLs want these highly detailed models, but also too, we want some entry level price points there too. So you'll see we try to put as many of those in. Unfortunately, there haven't been that many highly voted low part count models. So I always say, please submit some more great low part count models. Right now it's not very much competition in that space, so that's a great place to be.
Because you mentioned the castle, and it's not a surprise at all. Castle is very submission heavy. If you think because 2 or 3 or whatever got selected in a previous series for castle that you're going to win some quick money, you are in a crowd of very, very talented designers, and you probably aren't just going to walk in there and get your set selected, most likely.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like we're referencing Series 4. And Series 4 was kind of an anomaly for us. Yep. And I've told people many times, please join us on the webinars. We have webinars for every series. It's the week after the palette goes live. So that gives us some time to communicate some things out. And there's more time to talk about theories. But, what ended up happening was we had a bunch of the highly voted models that were blocked.
With portfolio conflicts, which gets us into our second main factor of decision making.
Yeah, and so obviously we can't talk about those because then that discloses future series or future sets that are coming out. But then too, what ends up happening is the highest voted sets, most importantly, were maybe 2,500, 2,600 parts.
That middle range.
And so if that set comes through, it now blocks everything else in that theme below it. So let's say it was something like Medieval Seaside Market. All of a sudden, any castle sets below that might have been larger, they're gone.
Blocked.
It doesn't matter whether they're big or small. They're now blocked for the remainder of the way. Now you'll say, hey, wait a minute. Siege Encampment is in there as well. Well, what ended up happening is because we had too many other sets blocked, we're coming down the list, there's not enough diversity of theme. By the time we're getting a little too far down the row or down the list. We like to be somewhere in the top 30, top 40.
Of votes,
the smaller sets will naturally kind of will tend to be a little bit lower in votes just because people say, ooh, big, shiny.
Yeah. I'm one of those people.
But so we're a little bit more, we can get a little more further down the list with those, but we were getting really far down the list. And it was like, okay, we need to get back up to the top. What was sitting there? Siege Encampment. And that's how you end up with 2 castle sets. And it is nothing to do with, I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I told everyone in the office, I said, this is going to be a nightmare for the next series because everyone's going to read right into this and say, hey, Castle, they want Castle. And it was also right after Mountain Fortress sold out in 2.5 hours. And I thought, oh, no, here we go.
So now the fans were thinking, oh, Bricklink's up for a money grab.
Yeah.
They want to sell stuff out, which clearly is not the case.
No.
With how the program is designed inherently.
Yeah, no, it's literally what we are trying to do is make the sets the fan community wants. If we wanted to sell out every series, we would be picking the top 5 sets, and it wouldn't be an issue.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Yep.
It wouldn't be a problem. So it's again, 10,000 sets is considered successful.
Exactly.
Because 10,000 sets was what used to be selling out BDP. Now we went up to 30,000 because everyone, we'd see the feedback from the fan community and they'd say, I really wish I missed out on this. I can't believe I waited all year and then it sold out in a couple hours and it was gone. That still happens at 30,000, which is kind of a problem. But that's where we went all the way up to 30,000 to help prevent that. Because if you're following along for a full year and then all of a sudden, hey, you were in a meeting and then an hour later all of them are sold out, that's not great.
Yeah.
That's not good for the platform. So yeah, we have some sets that sell out in 2.5 hours. Hopefully they're more like 8 or 9 hours, so you have a full day to get them. That's kind of where we want to be. But then also, if we have sets that are going and they're selling 10, 15,000, that's great too. You know what? That's very successful because that was sold out before. That's good.
And I did want to touch on changes from earlier series or programs and then we'll get to kind of misconceptions, which those two sort of wrap into one another. But changes from early series, it sounds like the jump from 10,000 of the initial series moving to announced at 20, but then when the pre-orders finally went out for Series 1, we saw that bump to 30.
Yep.
And that's pretty much in this decision of we want to make sure that more than double have access to getting these sets.
Yeah, I mean, and so, you know, the previous program, so this is probably one of the biggest pieces of confusion is the 2021 Invitational for BDP.
Yes.
So what that was a pilot program. It was after LEGO had purchased Bricklink. And what those sets were they were all 10K Club votes sets from LEGO Ideas. So that's why, hence the name Invitational. So they were all designs that were invited to participate in BDP. And because they were all invited, they're also did where they had 8 per series, and then 5 would advance and the other 3 wouldn't. Well, that's not a great way to do it because, one, you disappoint people. And I understand why they did it, because they didn't know which were the most popular of the series. But yeah, so this way we do all that screening out. There's less double work on certain things, but we do. So when that was 10,000, now we increased it to 20,000. Well, we're getting ready, gearing up for crowdfunding, and we see just so many complaints. They're like, "Oh, I wish you could do more. Can you do more?" So we talked and see, can we do more? And that's when it got up to 30,000.
Awesome.
So that came, it was right around the time that we announced pricing. We also increased the limit. So, yeah.
Which is awesome to see that feedback, and how I've seen talking to you and hearing your presentation. You're very open to feedback with this program because, I mean, it's literally directly for the
that's
community.
What we're here. It's by the
for
community,
the fans.
for the community. Like that's what we're here for. We want to provide that. I call it content for people that are, let's say they are really good fan designers, or they're on social media and they're really good at designing things. We want to give them that outlet for that. That helps create things for the community. It helps inspire people in the community. It helps create other people encourage other people to design and build as well. And that's really what we're trying to do. And so if we provide everyone a place for them to do that, then they're going to stick around longer. And that's what we want. And everyone, as you know, as you come to events like this, it's about hanging out and being our friends and community and that kind of stuff. So.
And is there the best way for any fans or viewers to reach out to you or to the team via email?
Yeah, so
to get those suggestions
by email
in there?
is fine. There's the BDP support at lego.com. But that's really for when we're working through any issues that you might have with your model or any other question, general inquiries. They can come in there. That's totally fine. What I really encourage is, obviously we do webinars for every series. Always encourage people to come there. They're really just kind of AMA sessions with a brief overview of everything. Kind of like what we did here with, we did a couple different seminar type things here. We'll do that here where I'm always an open book. There are obviously some things that I can't disclose from public reasons or for business reasons, but then...
Which is very minimal, and talking with you
it's pretty minimal.
It's awesome.
I mean, we should be an open book. I mean, it's not that. I mean, it's not that complicated of a system. And then also, probably the most important place would be come on the forums. So we have the studio forums on bricklink.com. You'll see it under the programs tab at the top. Yep. I'm in there every day. We have a couple people that we answer questions all day, every day. That's literally, it's a live AMA session all the time. I mean, it's a couple hours delayed because I check every day, but it's not like I'm always in there. But yeah, we're always trying to answer as many things as possible because, again, it's in our best interest to help encourage more people to participate in the program.
Awesome. And yeah, I love the open discussion we've had, honestly, yesterday, today, the whole weekend here, just talking about the program and misconceptions I've had. So lastly, what are the main misconceptions, of course, other than voting, perceived profit motive, various changes in the selection process? Are there any other main misconceptions that you've derived from questions asked about the program?
Yeah, voting I think is probably the highest. Second highest would probably be like, what is the purpose of the program? What is the point of the program? I think we touched on that a little bit. Also, what's the quality of the program? Because a lot of people are like, are these Lego bricks? What is this? We're owned by Lego. We are Lego employees. Less sets are manufactured by Lego. same production lines as Lego system sets. But the only difference is that I like to explain it as like there are Lego sets over here, there are MOCs over here, and we're somewhere in between. Because MOCs are highly detailed and they're fragile. Or they can be fragile.
Yes.
I mean, obviously there's some they're built very rigid. And then there are Lego system sets, and they may not be as detailed as some of the MOCs, just because, you know, they need to be made sure that they can be played with, that they're going through different testing and whatnot. So we try to be somewhere in the middle. We want the detail of MOCs, but we want the stability of Lego sets.
Yep.
And so we go through the entire Lego quality checks and all the different checkpoints and testing and rebuilding and all that. And
building these sets for you personally. Building these sets.
Yeah, I personally build each one of these sets because I'm providing my feedback. You know, I'm from the CPA-fol community. I'm part of the OC Lug. I designed and sold sets or designed instructions, sold sets on Rebrickable for years before joining the Lego group. And so I kind of have an idea of what's more MOC-like, what's more Lego-like, and trying to balance that. Not saying that I'm the end-all be-all expert, but I'm one chink in the line of all the steps that we do to make sure that these are quality sets. And you'll see you should see a pretty big difference between the 2021 invitational sets and these now too, because they did not go through this test. And also they were purpose-built Lego Ideas sets, which are not meant to ever be built. Really, I mean, some might be stronger than others, but they're really meant to be redesigned. So, you'll see these are a lot more stable. But then again, we're going to try to do some things that are kind of outside the box too. So
awesome.
So
lastly, going to the future of the program, of course, continuously taking these suggestions into account with how the program is enacted, sets and quantities and all that stuff. Are there any future changes on the horizon that you're aware of that we can let our viewers know?
I don't think there's really anything that we need to change too much. What we do need to be concerned about is how do we keep it fresh, so that it doesn't get stale.
Absolutely.
Obviously, there are 15 sets per year. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
And I know a lot of people say, well, I can't keep up with that. That's too much. And it's like, you're not supposed to keep up with it. Like, yeah, there's some hardcore collectors, but part of there being 15 is that there's enough. Hopefully, there's something for everyone every year. That's my main goal. But again, my hands are tied. I can't make the sets, and I can't choose the sets outside of going down the list. So it's up to the fans and the fan designers to create and vote for what they want.
Exactly. Which and to wrap this up, it's been amazing to see these sets in person. Of course, purchasing a handful that are on the table today. Seeing the Series 2 in person has been absolutely amazing. Talking with you again. So much great information, and I hope you all watching learned a lot more about the Bricklink Designer Program, as even I didn't know half of this information here. Probably should have, but didn't.
It's totally cool.
So learning these, hopefully sharing this with you. Thank you so much for spending the time talking with me today, Alex from Bricklink Designer Program. Thank you all for watching there. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new here, and we'll see you in the next one.